Hey geography students, Mr. Naimatsu coming with you with your EdPuzzle Collapse Part 1 and Part 2 assignments. So quickly talk about this video. This video was actually written by a book, we're going to bring up here, based off of a book called Collapse, and it was written by a professor called Jared Diamond. Jared Diamond actually is kind of a little bit more known for a book called Guns, Germs, and Steel, in which we may have a chance to go ahead and look at later. But this book kind of talked about all these different civilizations and why they fell. And the reason why they fell, according to him, was due to some environmental problems. So some really grand, large, complex civilizations, the Mayans, you're going to learn about the Anasazi, which were an Indian group here in Southwest United States. He looks at a lot of different ones. He looks at the Romans. He looks at a lot of different types of groups and the reason why they may have collapsed. And he attributes them to environmental problems. So again, this video is for part 1 and part 2. What we've done is we've taken the video and a longer video about 15 minutes each, and instead of one longer one at 30 minutes, it's been cut down to 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. So again, part 1 is going to be a focus on the Anasazi, who are from an area known in New Mexico, here in the United States. And earlier, earlier in the history of the world and the United States, they faced a water issue, being in the desert, and they figured out ways to go ahead and dam and go ahead and collect water. But that itself had some issues, and then it faced a very long drought and posed another set of problems in which they found solutions. And sometimes these solutions that come aren't the best, and in this case, they're going to be breaking into smaller groups and kind of running away from their area. And they're kind of like their city and their heart of their city because there's just too many people and not enough water. So they broke up into smaller communities known as pueblos. Part 2 is kind of going to try to take what was in the past and kind of bring it into the future, or in the present, and kind of focus on what's happening here in California regarding our drought. Luckily, our drought recently, this is being recorded in 2020, has gotten better. Last couple of years, we have gotten a little bit more rain, especially here in Southern California. And again, you hopefully have learned and will learn that in this video that we rely a lot of our water actually from Northern California, through aqueducts and through these canals that we've created this system that brings water from the north to the south. So luckily we've had the water, and the drought hasn't been nearly as bad, but it has been an issue that you've seen. Part 1 and part 2, mainly in part 1, it happens where they go from the past to the future. It's pretty easy to identify both, obviously, and then obviously they have sometimes historians kind of walking through the areas describing what they would have seen if you were there. So there's going to be, for students in class, sometimes it's hard to identify when the video is going from the past of the Anasazi to the present, what we're facing, into what future scientists. The kind of story of this video is that there's scientists well into the future that are trying to figure out what happened to California. And in this case, we may have faced a drought. And so they'll be looking back, looking at clues. So I'm sure when you see the futuristic scientists with their gadgets and gizmos and different things, I'm sure you're going to go ahead and recognize that being the future. And then obviously a focus on the Anasazi in the past, and you'll see some present day issues that we're facing, and this was created about 8-9 years ago. So, during the increase of the water problems here in the United States, well, especially here in California, excuse me. And so some present issues, and we may be having some of these environmental problems in the future. And with our next issue called climate change, these droughts, floods, and wildfire experiences and natural disasters that we face here in San Diego may be becoming a little bit more extreme, or that's what scientists theoretically are forecasting. So that's the video that we're watching, part 1 and part 2. Again, you're going to go ahead and make sure that you complete them here through Schoology. And there it is, part 1 and part 2. And so this is for day 2 and day 3. Day 1 was Jay-Z's Water for Life. So this will be the video, overview video for both days. Okay, later guys, take care.